Welcome back to Totally Clutch, the Clutch Businesses podcast and vlog. Today's episode piggybacks off of our last, where we talked with Samaya Essick about finding the right online business for you. It also breaks from what's become our new norm, where we interview experts live. So once you've identified the right online business for you, the next step is to find a platform to support that business. So today we'll be talking through each of the key things to consider when you're looking at potential platforms, and we'll also have a worksheet to help you work through those considerations for your specific business. Finding an online platform can be a make or break decision, and it happens really early on in the process, so oftentimes you don't have a lot of information to make this huge and gigantic decision. It can really mean the difference between running a successful business and barely holding on. So a while back, I worked for this service organization, or I worked with a service organization that was paying a lot of money every month to a membership platform. The information on that platform was so outdated and inaccurate because nobody knew how to update it, that front desk staff was spending the majority of their time on the phone answering questions from prospective and existing clients. So rather than welcoming and inviting people in when they were there for their services, the front desk staff was being paid to do the same thing that the membership platform was supposed to do. And that's not a situation that you want to find yourself in later down the road. I'm Angie Veman with Clutch Businesses. Today's episode is going to be really quick but super important, so we're just going to dive right into it. The first thing that you want to look at when considering an online platform is what your sales model is. So are you selling directly to the customer, or maybe you're wholesaling your product or even drop shipping it? Or maybe you have a subscription-based business. None of these have to be mutually exclusive, but they are definitely going to help you narrow down your search. So take subscriptions, for example. The payment collection and the content delivery can be a little tricky on these. So there are a lot of platforms that offer this as an option, but some of them treat it like a premium feature. So they charge a lot more for it. Whereas some platforms, this is their expertise, and so they're able to offer it at a more competitive price. The next thing to consider is what you're selling, so what your product type is. If you're selling services, maybe you're selling physical products or digital products, there is a platform out there that allows you to sell each, but some of them support different product types better than others. Next, you'll want to look at if you are currently using a payment processor and if you need to keep using them or if you want to keep using them. A lot of the platforms work with specific payment processors or charge a premium for you to work with a specific one. But most of the common small business payment processors integrate really nicely with most platforms. Next, you'll want to look at if you currently have a website. So a lot of website hosts now offer e-commerce or membership add-ons. You'll still want to consider and assess all the other factors, but it's worth looking into so that you potentially have the option of housing everything in one place. You'll also need to have a rough idea of how much you're planning to sell and how many products you're going to be offering at any given time. Your transaction fees are actually going to be impacted by this information, and a lot of the platforms charge by the number of products or the volume that you're moving through. So when you start to compare overall costs, this is going to play a significant factor in filtering through your options. You'll also want to give some thought to where you plan to sell. So if you're just planning to sell on Facebook, your options are going to be significantly different than if you want to sell on your website, on Amazon, and on other marketplaces. Another important factor is who's going to be doing the initial setup and the ongoing maintenance. So having a developer would be so incredibly awesome, but depending on your business, it might cost way too much money. There's a ton of really robust systems that are out there that would be great, but require some seriously hefty coding skills to use them effectively. Whereas going the DIY route, you still have a lot of really great options, but it's important to make that distinction for yourself early on. Something else to look at is if you currently have a POS system or a point of sale system, or if you might need one in the future. So if you see yourself ever doing in-person sales, it might be worth it to look for something that offers both in-person and online options. Or if you already have a brick and mortar store, so you already have a POS system, there are quite a few of them that offer an online add-on, and that could save you some serious setup time and maintenance. Once you've made it through most of the list, the last thing that I would recommend doing is to put yourself in your customer's shoes and see how each of the remaining platforms would feel. So you might be able to identify areas where the customer would get caught up, or you might be able to find areas where it would actually be difficult for you to provide the customer with the information that they need in order to make the sale, or even just to communicate with them. You can actually visualize this just walking through it in your mind, or a lot of these platforms have free trials, so you can enter in a test item and take it for a spin just like your customer would. So really what you're doing is just using your business model to guide you to the right platform. So if you factor in your product, your volume, your customer experience, and what resources you have available to you now, you'll end up with a great platform that you can definitely grow with. And know that if you have huge growth plans, it might work best for you to settle on a platform that works for you today, that works for you right now, and down the road, as you start to grow, you can switch over to something that better accommodates where you're headed. You can download your very own worksheet that will walk you through each of the things that we talked about, so you are fully prepared to start comparing each of these platforms, or all of the platforms that you run across, at clutchbusinesses.com/online-biz-plan. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please remember, I believe in you and I believe in your business.